Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to CTA Construction Talks. Today is Monday, April 20th, 2026, and we appreciate you taking time out of your day to join us on an adjusted schedule this month. This month's theme, the uses and impact of AI in construction, focuses on how emerging technologies are reshaping the construction and infrastructure industry, from project planning and design to safety to scheduling and workforce development. It also highlights the importance of ensuring that these advancements are inclusive and accessible, particularly through organizations like Revolution Workshop, which is finding new ways to incorporate AI learning in their training curriculums. Through targeted outreach, training, and advocacy, these efforts are helping prepare and move more diversity into workforce, engaging with an increasing technology-driven industry. This month's Construction Talks theme again is the uses and impact of AI in construction. It explores how emerging technologies are actively reshaping the construction and infrastructure industry, from early stage planning and design to safety, scheduling, AI, and workforce development. AI automation continues to evolve. They are not only changing how projects are delivered, but also redefining skills and opportunities within the workforce. My name is Gurnell Turner, Senior Coordinator of Workforce Initiatives here at Chicago Transit Authority, and I'll be facilitating today's conversation. We're joined today by three leaders advancing workforce development and innovation in construction. We have Manny Rodriguez, the founder and executive director of Revolution Workshop, who has led efforts to create pathways into trades for individuals facing barriers to employment. We also have Janae Riley, also from Revolution Workshop, who prepares participants with the skills and support needed to successfully enter construction careers. And Zola Stewart, Community and Citizenship Director at Turner Construction Company, who focuses on community engagement and expanding inclusive workforce opportunities. Together, they bring valuable perspectives on the future of construction and the evolving workforce. As we begin, feel free to put questions or comments in the chat at any time during the conversation, and we'll address them after our speakers have finished their remarks. At the end, I'll also share upcoming CTA workforce events and ways to stay connected with CTA and our partners. And if you've missed any past sessions or want to revisit them, CTA Construction Talks are available on YouTube under the CTA Doors Opening channel. You can access the full Construction Talks playlist from there at any time. If you're joining us for the first time, Construction Talks is a workforce initiative and a virtual hour-long webinar series hosted by CTA Diversity Programs Workforce Initiatives team every month. It's designed to bring together construction contractors, the trades, community-based organizations, apprenticed, journey persons, and anyone interested in building a career in construction. This space is intentionally inclusive. Whether you're already working on a CTA project, supporting workforce development, or exploring how to enter the construction industry, Construction Talks is meant for you. The purpose of this series is threefold: to educate stakeholders about construction careers, to deepen understanding of CTA's workforce initiatives and goals, and to inspire participation and partnership across the industry through ongoing conversations. These conversations help connect policy, practice, and people. So workforce goals aren't just requirements, but real opportunities. Construction Talks takes place on the fourth Mondays of each month at 12 o'clock p.m. Central Time, unless like today, otherwise indicated. Sessions are always held via Zoom. A QR code to register for upcoming talks will be displayed on the upcoming event slide ahead. With that context, let's move into a brief overview of CTA Diversity Program's broader workforce initiatives. CTA Workforce Initiatives is focused on building strong partnerships across contractors, workforce partners, the building trades, and community groups, as well as residents, to create clear, equitable pathways into construction careers. For our contractors, we monitor weekly certified payroll reports and track progress towards contracted workforce goals. And our team conducts regular labor compliance site visits to ensure workers are treated fairly and that job site practices align with established standards. We also support contractors in connecting with apprentice and journey workers from Chicago communities, helping to strengthen local hiring pipelines. Through initiatives like Construction Talks, our collaborations with our 4 workforce partner agencies, we actively assist contractors in meeting their workforce goals. With the support of our workforce agency partners, we share information on job openings across CTA construction projects and connect job seekers to training, skills development, and career coaching to support long-term success. We also collaborate with building trades to advocate for construction careers and expand opportunity. All of this also connects to today's focus on the uses and impact of AI in construction by intentionally creating pathways, improving access to training and technology, and advancing innovation across the industry. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our speakers. We're joined today by a group of leaders who are deeply engaged in shaping both the future of construction and the workforce that powers it. First, we have Manny Rodriguez, founder and executive director of Revolution Workshop. Manny has been instrumental in creating pathways into the trades for individuals facing barriers to employment with a strong focus on skills training, career exposure, and long-term opportunity. He has a host of accolades that I could not fit on this one slide deck, but in addition to him founding Revolution Workshop, he's also been an advocate for Chicago's underserved communities. We're also joined by Janae Riley, Director of Pre-Apprenticeship Programs at Revolution Workshop. Janae leads efforts to prepare participants with the foundational skills and support needed to successfully enter and thrive in construction careers, helping bridge the gap between training and employment. She has a passion for working with marginalized people, and she also holds a master's degree in psychology with a focus on community development. And finally, we have Ms. Zola Stewart, Community and Citizenship Director at Turner Construction Company. Zola brings a perspective from one of the nation's leading construction firms with a focus on small business and community engagement, workforce development, and creating inclusive opportunities across large-scale projects. Zola has generated over 400 annual transitional jobs for the Hard to Hire. She's also on the board of directors for the Black Contractors, Owners, and Executives. These 3 wonderful speakers bring valuable insight into how workforce development, equity, and innovation intersect, how workforce development, equity, and innovation intersect, especially as AI and automation continue to shape the construction industry. So without further ado, let's get into our questions. How are you guys feeling today?
Great.
Awesome.
Happy to be here.
Same.
Awesome. We appreciate you guys being here. We're going to start with questions to Janae and Manny of Revolution Workshop. Janae, I'll start off with you. Is that okay?
Of course.
Okay. Revolution Workshop has been on the front lines of preparing individuals for careers in construction with a strong understanding of how the industry is evolving. From your perspective, Janae, what changes are you starting to see or expect to see in construction as AI and automation become more common over the next few years?
When thinking about AI, I think that's one question a lot of people have coming up. They're very fearful that they're going to replace a lot of those in-person jobs. I think the first steps that we'll start to see in terms of AI is that it won't necessarily replace people, but it'll replace tasks and responsibilities. So a lot of those repetitive things that people be doing on the day-to-day might start to phase out a little bit. We may start to see more tablets and technology on the job site, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but as long as we can get in front of it, a lot of those changes may actually help people instead of being more harmful.
That makes sense. I too, as I go to various labor compliance visits on some of CTA major construction projects, we're starting to use tablets to track those visits. I see a lot of the construction managers using devices to help them look for information and various scheduling for the workers. So you're spot on with that.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm saying as long as we can get in front of it, I think a lot of it will be easier on our day-to-days.
That makes sense. I also noticed that a lot of workers going into construction, and not just the construction industry, but other industries as well, are apprehensive about the use of AI and technology as well. So that's a great point that you brought out.
Thank you.
I'm going to transition over to Manny for this next question. Your work at Revolution Workshop gives you direct insight into the skills employers are looking for and how job roles are shifting. With that being said, Manny, which roles or trades do you think will be most impacted by AI and automation? And what might that actually look like on the ground for workers?
Yeah, that's a big question. And for me, on the trade side, until we have androids and robots to be able to build things, I think AI is kind of, to Janae's point, is going to be a tool that's used by frontline construction workers as an add-on, but it's not going to fundamentally replace them, right?
Mhm.
And I think we're seeing that across all the trades. Now, again, certain trades rely on technology more heavily than others. And so I think those are going to be your first ones where you're already, I mean, let's be honest, it's here. This is not something
Mhm.
that's coming, it's already here. And we're already seeing, again, it started with the use of tablets, on sites and replacing the old school blueprints and things of that nature. You're already seeing that technology being incorporated. But I think, I could just even give you guys an example of our program. Like our instructors have been using AI to determine how much material they have to order, and things of that nature. And again, that's been something that they would have to manually calculate out all the time before. And now it's you put it into AI, you say, hey, I want a 20% burn rate because I have newbies doing this and they're going to burn through 20% of the supply. And boom, it calculates it out for you and even does a price check on it for you, depending on the vendor that you're buying it from. So it is really, to Janae's point, it's really going to help with efficiencies. I think construction time is money, right? And as much as we can cut out the efficiencies as possible, that's where you're going to see AI really, take hold and take shape. Where we're really seeing it, though, have a real impact right now is on our professionals. So I don't know how many of you all know this, but we run two different pre-apprenticeship, pre-employment pathways. One is the trades pathways program, which helps them be a carpenter, electrician, laborer, etc. And then we have the professional pathways program, which is helping them get into architecture, engineering, construction management occupations and career tracks without a college degree.
I want to
That
stop you right there, Manny, because I'm going to get into that. I
okay.
know that you guys are running some wonderful professional pathways programs over there, and Janae is leading that work. That's an excellent transition to our next question. I know that Revolution Workshop has been proactive in evolving its training programs to stay aligned with industry needs. And Manny's going right into that, but I want to ask you this question, Janae, as Director of Pre-Apprenticeship Programs. What led you to start working with curriculum specialists to build or enhance that professional pathways program training around AI and automation?
Yeah, so we started working with curriculum experts because we understand that it's less about the technology and more about the people. So we want to meet them and help prep them, one, to understand what AI is and how to use it in their everyday lives. And then two, how do you incorporate it on the work site? Because one way or another, like we said, it's already here. We have Gemini, we have ChatGPT, we have Claude. Like there's so many other pathways and AI systems that are already out there, but how can you use them to your advantage so that you're not behind the curve on these job sites or on the office side of the construction as we're talking about, so that you're able to keep up with the demand and the flow of the real world that we're living in.
That makes perfect sense. Briefly, I'm interested in Zola's perspective here as someone working on the construction side. Do you think that the fears that workers have around AI being incorporated into the industry, Zola, is warranted? Is it expected that people are a little fearful? Are we in the right scope, thinking that right now it's just going to enhance everything and that, jobs won't be replaced? Give us a little preview to your perspective there, Zola.
And so I definitely, people are afraid, right? Not everyone, but there's some uncertainty, and I gotta say, for someone that uses it every day, I hear it. Am I concerned about it? Yeah, to some point, but honestly, I use it so much. It has enhanced my life personally, professionally, and it makes just makes me a better worker. It's like having a back pocket full of the that has all the knowledge, right? That I could easily reference, like having a dictionary in your pocket. Like it's just a
Mhm.
tool. It's just a tool. Um,
Agreed. Absolutely agreed. I use technology every day as well. I agree that it's making us better workers. I agree that some people are afraid of that impact. I agree that not everyone is afraid of that impact. I do really appreciate that workforce development agencies are introducing this into their training curriculum, right? Especially for professionals in the construction industry, and making sure that through education and understanding that fear can be combated, right? So that people can start to work like what we're saying we do, using AI as a tool on a day-to-day basis, getting rid of those big traditional design plans that Manny mentioned earlier, and being able to look at that on an automated device to make things more efficient, like having a dictionary in your back pocket, right? You're not walking around with all of these things to, or taking more time to produce a product or do what it is that you need to do in your daily professional lives. I think we're all on the same page here. This is a good thing. With that being said, I want to transition back to Manny. Revolution Workshop is not just talking about change, right? You guys are actively preparing your people for it through your programming. Can you share how you're starting to incorporate AI automation concepts into your training, even at the introductory level? I understand it's not fully implemented yet.
Yeah, I think it first and foremost starts with our partnership with our employer partners. They're the ones that we have been working very closely with on designing and revamping our programs, right? We constantly go through a process of continuous quality improvement when it comes to our trade side, which is what we started from and everybody knows about. So we have an active and engaged group of an employer, we call it our Employer Advisory Council, and they give us, you know, advice. They tell us, labor market trends, technology trends, all of that. That's the space of where we engage a couple of key employer partners, anywhere between 15 and 20 employers, union, non-union, big, small, you name it. We have somebody in it, and we basically, want to get their feedback about what they're seeing, how our alumni are participating and holding up on the job, those kind of things, and having that open and honest dialogue. That's how we started the professional side, is because we started to realize there was a demand for this side on the office side of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's pretty new. There's not really a whole lot of, outside of your traditional 4-year, programs, there's not really a pre-employment, pre-apprenticeship side of this fence. And so we had to do this in conjunction with our employer partners. We had to get from them, what are your core competencies, and then back into what the instructional material needed to be to hit those priorities, right? And those competencies. And so
Yeah,
that,
that's a great transition, Manny, into questions for Zola. And I'm really interested in hearing her perspective as I don't want to say employer partner, but as an employee working for a major construction firm that's an employer in the community. Before you jumped on, Manny, Zola was asking Janae, where do I know you from? I know your face. And she found out she was from Revolution Workshop, and she's like, "Oh, we work with you guys all the time. We see your apprentice on our projects." And I just think that it's really interesting and very organic how no matter what construction firm we bring to our construction talks, no matter what the topic is, no matter what workforce partner we bring from our stakeholder group here at CTA, there's always some sort of organic overlap. And you're right in emphasizing the relationships of the employer partners, right, Manny? I'm going to put on my workforce development hat because I come from a background of workforce development, and I completely understand how you have to tailor the training and the supply of workers to the demands of the workforce. So getting that employer perspective is paramount, and not only getting it, but keeping up with it and keeping up with the trends and the different things that they're looking for from the labor market as you continue to train pipelines of people year after year after year, even if it's the same industry, right? So you're definitely touching on the right things. Before I transition to Zola, I want to ask Janae the last question for Revolution Workshop. Given your role in both workforce development and industry connection, you have a unique vantage point on what's ahead. Janae, as director of pre-apprenticeship programs and having been in this work for some time now, when you think about the future of construction, how do you see AI and automation shaping the industry, and what should workforce organizations be doing now to keep up in the way that Maddie and you have explained you guys are doing at Revolution Workshop?
I think the key to keeping up is just good communication. Not one organization, not one employer is going to have this all figured out in any way, shape, or form. So working with each other, figuring out what have you learned, what have we learned, and sharing that information. Because like we said, AI is already here. So figuring out how we can incorporate it into either the job sites that these people are going to be on, like we said, with the tablets, on the office side, whether it's figuring out how to pre-write an email, or how do you create a template to talk to a customer. There will be great ways to implement that. But in terms of our workforce organizations, taking the time to really train our individuals on what that looks like, because no one's going to come in our programs knowing how to use all forms of technology. So taking the time to really implement it into our programs, show individuals what it look like, and help them understand it's an easier way to do some of the day-to-day tasks we do already.
I can't agree more with that response, Janae. And I feel that CTA is so fortunate to have you guys as a pre-apprenticeship workforce partner, because being on top of industry trends is so paramount to preparing that next generation of workers for any industry. I'm so excited to jump into the questions here with Zola so that she can share her perspective from a leading construction firm in the nation. Zola, Turner Construction, as I mentioned, a national leader in delivering large-scale commercial infrastructure projects, and is already operating in environments where technology adaptation is accelerating. From your perspective, where are you currently seeing AI automation showing up most in common construction projects today, whether that's planning and design or in the field operations? Let us know where you're seeing it.
So a little bit of everything, but it's mostly in planning, predicting, and tracking, right? So being able to help on the design side, being able to predict, in construction, there's always something that's coming up, but AI using different models, flagging costs, schedule, any type of risk, weather, tracking. It's been extremely helpful. Safety is another space that we see a lot of application. Turner is always looking for ways that we can build better and mitigate risk, right? So, Turner has rolled out a AI platform for us, and the best thing that we can do, because it's not fully integrated, but it's about utilization. They want us to just use it, right? Get in there, use it, create, And then we're just kind of measuring. We're measuring to see how effective things are, and we're honing it so that it can, so that it can work for us. We have regular trainings, we have regular workshops, virtual, like on a weekly basis. There's always something around AI that we're able to log in on, and it's been phenomenal. And I
So
think
it
that
sounds like Revolution Workshop is spot on with putting their
absolutely,
AI automation training in the
yes,
Professional Pathways program, because that's where you guys are not only being encouraged by your corporation to make efficient use of AI, but
yep.
it sounds like those professional pathways are where we're going to need the implementation of using the AI tools and automation in construction.
We need people that understand the data and construction. That's the new thing. Like you've got to, so when I think about this, I think back, can you remember a time, it's before the cell phone, right? I'm dating myself, right? But
I was a little hesitant to answer there, Zola, because I'm trying to stay of a certain generation here. But yes,
I'm saying,
I
right,
do
right.
remember that.
And then remember, I don't know anyone that doesn't have a cell phone, right? Right now. I don't know anyone that doesn't have a cell phone. And if I were to meet someone that doesn't have a cell phone, what's that impact on them now? Because, like at Turner, everybody has a cell phone. That is how like they give us a cell phone. When start, you get a cell phone and your laptop, right? So if you don't know how to use this technology, it's not about replacing you. It's about your effectiveness in utilizing the tools that they're putting in front of you. And
Mhm.
so that's the biggest thing. And so I love what Revolutionary Workshop is doing, because they're, taking that workforce, and especially the population of people that get left behind. And they're saying, no, 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 let me put some resources in your hand. This is where you can go, even if you don't have a 4-year degree. You don't need to have it. Let me put some tools in your hand and some training and get you connected to the right employers so that you can have a very fruitful career. So that's phenomenal.
Yeah, and that's one of the great things about construction. At CTA, we always market construction to our community residents and just all of Chicagoland as being an in-demand, sustainable wage paying industry. And that's important, right? And in order to stay valuable in this industry, you do have to keep up with the technology and the various changes. I can remember when email became a whole thing, right? Oh gosh, I'm really dating myself. I can remember
Right.
being in an office environment, entry level, and having those big orange envelopes that said interdepartmental, and you'd be
Yes.
typing up a memo for some executive to go and run down in that envelope to another person. That's email now.
That's
That was
email.
what was done before email. And I can't imagine if we didn't have the automation and the efficiency that email brings us now, how that would slow our production down tremendously. And that seems to be the case now with these
It
AI
is.
tools in construction, and understanding the construction in the field, as you mentioned, Zola, is going to be equally important from the use of AI and technology for those professionals in the pathway who also know how to use the tools for planning and tracking and things of that nature. So,
Can
this is a really exciting perspective. Let's move on to your next question, Zola.
can I want to I'm interested in understanding if any of you have seen this. One of the things that has surprised me with the whole AI, and so I have children that are millennials. Again, I'm dating myself, but and when I talk to some of the millennials that work at the office and so forth, I'm surprised at how I have taken to AI quicker than they are. Like they're like, oh, I don't know. Okay, Zola, I hear you, but I'm just really not there yet. I'm just really surprised at how the younger folks are like very hesitant to.
And that's exactly why I wanted to have this topic for the construction talks, because you want to you want to eject any fear that that upcoming generation has at the changes in the industry, if at all possible, because there's already a lot of urban legend and a lot of misnomers around construction. You can't advance, it's backbreaking work, it doesn't pay well. You know, now with the introduction of AI and automation in the industry, people being fearful that, you know, jobs will be eliminated because machinery and technology is going to take over. That's an interesting perspective that you bring up, Zola, because as an older person or older millennial, I will say, because I am in that generation at the very top, I would say that I think I take to technology pretty quickly or quicker than my counterparts. And I can understand that. It'd be interesting to know from Revolution Workshop if you guys think that your trainees will adapt quickly to these new adaptations for AI training that you're putting in the Professional Pathways program.
You want to take it first, Janae? You take it first.
Sure. I think they 100% will. So we already see a lot of them. The main one that everyone goes to first is resumes. How can I have AI make my resume? What bullet points can I use for my resume? Can I put this question or this assignment into ChatGPT or Gemini, and what will it spit back out to me? So
and that's fair. I was just in a leadership training where we were being encouraged to do that, to develop or enhance our resumes, to speak to our new skills in leadership as we progress forward in our careers. That's absolutely fair. I'm glad that you guys think that your trainees will adapt to or are excited even about the use of AI in their career development, because everything from resume development to practice with mock interview responses to the, I'm sure, amazing innovations that you guys are putting into your training curriculum. I'm sure that the population that you're working with are going to embrace that. And if not, you guys have the coaching ability to help them embrace that as you continue to build out that curriculum. Do you have anything to add, Manny, before we move on?
Yeah, I think, the couple of things, I agree that with the trainees, I think that they're moving and they're willing to kind of do this at a different pace. But Zola, I am seeing the same thing you're seeing among my own staff, right? So like, there is a little bit of a hesitation to using it over what you have come to be comfortable with and come to rely on, right? Which is your own way of writing it, your own way of displaying it. And we've been trying to encourage, so we've been doing, while we do staff meetings, our all staff meetings, we'll have a section and people, this was like 3 months ago, we had staff come up and say, this is how I'm using AI in my everyday, in part to kind of take away that stigma. And I think, Zola, you had mentioned, Turner's already doing this. You guys are a large company. But we took some of those strategies too and said, we got to kind of take the stigma out of this, make sure that people realize that AI is a tool that still requires a human mind to refine. So you have to just treat it as any other tool we've had. And we've talked a lot about that. I do think, Gernelle, and I'm going to be a little bit of a Debbie Downer, Gernelle, Zola, there are going to be some jobs that are going to be that are probably going to be removed in the next 5 to 10 years on the office side. I think about an estimator. I don't know if that job is going to be around quite the way it is right now, as it's structured today, 5 to 10 years from now, right? I think that is a very real thing. I think you're always
going to earmark that in the construction talks on April 20th, 2026, and we'll revisit that maybe in a year or two and just, see if that estimation is correct, Manny. You have every right to be entitled to that opinion. But that's a perfect segue into Zola's next question, because at Turner, she's able to see, or she has the visibility at scale on how technology is changing day-to-day construction practices across job sites. So with that being said, Zola, how has the introduction of AI or automation tools changed how work is being performed specifically, whether that's in the field or productivity or safety, or Manny mentioned estimation? coordination? How have you seen AI specifically impact construction in at Turner?
So I believe so. I'm going to answer it in a couple of ways. So the first, at Turner, I believe that we're able to get things done faster, right?
Mhm.
With more predictability. Again, it's still very early on. So there's a lot, it's like we have not used it to replace anything. So we're still doing the automation, but then we're still doing our manual process too, right? Because AI, it's really about it's learning, it has to learn, right? So there's nothing that we're doing that we're just it's a total handoff. Like that's absolutely not happening. So right now everything is in practice. However, when and I'm going to go back to the cell phone. Okay. Remember when before cell phones, when you call someone, you didn't have the expectation that you're going to necessarily get them right away. And if so if somebody wasn't home, guess what? They just wasn't home. You left a voicemail message, even and then voicemails. You were able to check your voicemail from a remote location and call into your voicemail and check it. But we didn't have
Putting
this auto.
songs on your voicemail for
Yeah,
people to
right.
hear before they leave a message.
But we didn't have this automatic thing where the expectation is that you're going to reach somebody right now but that's the expectation
Mhm.
now, right?
Mhm.
So when we reach out to someone, we send an email, we send a voicemail message or whatever, the expectation is that we're going to be able to reach someone within the next hour or right away, or someone's going to, and when you can't do that on your job or in your business, it's a deterrent. You could potentially lose work or lose business, right?
Mhm.
Where AI is going to come in at is if you are not able to use this tool that's coming out, then you are not going to be as competitive as other people who are able to use it effectively. So
Mhm.
being able to use it and start practicing on it and be in training programs that are teaching you the utilization of it is going to be essential so that you're
That
not
makes
considered
that makes a
archaic.
lot of great sense, Zola, and that's what CTA is trying to build with our workforce partners and with our stakeholders. We're trying to build a system, a navigation pathway where people interested in not just only joining the construction industry, but also being successful in the construction industry, where they can work on major infrastructure project after major infrastructure project over the course of their career, as well as possibly have advancement opportunities. We're looking to create that navigation, point to the resources, point to the training, and point to the stakeholders who can help continue to advise us on changes in the industry, whether that's AI automation, whether that's new tools, whether that's new system impacts, external or internal, with the building trades or government or what have you. We're looking to build that system of stakeholders here at CTA for the sake of major infrastructure projects for Chicago Transit, because that's vital to our city and what we do here. So you bring up some really great points, Zola, about this being something that people who want to remain valuable in the construction workforce need to adapt to, not be fearful of, understand, and also embrace if they're in training with a workforce partner like Revolution Workshop. You know what?
So I
Go ahead.
if I can give you another little tidbit and then I'll be quiet. But my husband is a 40-year carpenter. Well, he's not a carpenter anymore. He's a superintendent, but he's still in the carpenters union. Been with Turner for 40 years. He's actually, I guess, been in the trades for more like 48 years. He's been with Turner for 40 years, right?
He's an expert.
He's an expert, right? So he's a general superintendent, runs jobs and so forth. And he sees me use it so much, right? And always sees me talking to people and I'm, like it's like one of my favorite topics to talk about, right? What AI did for me today. So he has started using it. I think he's used it maybe 3 times, right? So, but he came back and he's like, I used it. And I said, okay, well, what did you use it on? First one was an email. I was like, okay, well, he was like, yeah, it was good, it was fine. The next one, I think it had to do with scheduling or whatever. And I said, okay, so did that save you time? He said it did, you know. And it's slowly but surely he's coming along, but there's no reason. And I think that employers are going to look at and they're going to say, okay, well, why didn't you get that done already? Especially if they have resources available to help you. Well, why, like, because everyone knows how quickly you can do stuff. Instead of me using, like I know how to use Excel or whatever, but honestly, I can cut and paste and put something in Chat GBT and have it do the sorting and everything for me quicker than I could do it pressing the buttons in Excel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
you bring up an interesting point there, Zola. I think adversely, or not adversely, but in parallel or in harmony with what you're saying, employers may start to look at, the folks who aren't meeting the deadlines or aren't showing up to the key performance indicators that they're expecting, and want to start knowing if or whether or not they are using AI to help them, with be more efficient or effective in their jobs, right? These are definitely questions that
it's
can
not an
come
if.
up.
It's not an if. They will.
And you know what? That leads me into the last question that I want to ask you, Zola. And thank you for those perspectives. Great points about AI and how it's impacting not just Turner Construction, but the industry at large. And I don't mean to tailor your questions to Turner all the time. And thank you so much for giving us the broader industry perspective. Turner is often at the forefront of adopting innovation across major infrastructure projects, right? You mentioned how it's showing up in the field. You mentioned how you're using it as an employee and how you guys are encouraged to use it to make yourselves more efficient and more productive. Looking ahead, what do you anticipate will be the biggest impacts of AI and automation on construction delivery over the next decade or so? And how should the industry begin preparing now? Much like what Revolution Workshop is doing, right?
Mhm. I would say real-time data-driven decision making. I believe that more decision making is going to be about that data. Like data rules, and that's one of the things that AI is really helping us with. You don't necessarily need a bunch of different systems, the way that ChatGPT kind of, like parses in data, and it's incredible. And the technology is still new. It's only going to continue to get better. So digital twins, like live modeling, live models on the job, more automation, getting rid of repetitive types of tasks. It's not going to, I do believe that there is going to be some job shifts, right? There's going to be some things that AI will be able to do that will eliminate jobs if people are not able to transition and shift. So I think it's important that people stay ahead of the technology and look at ways that they can incorporate what it is that they're doing with the technology so that they aren't displaced.
Yeah, Manny's shaking his head. See there, Manny? Zola agrees there may be some shifts in jobs in construction. I mean, that's undeniable. I think that's the case across any in-demand industry as our technology continues to advance, right?
I think.
Manny, do you have anything to add? Yes, you do.
Well, I was going to say that, this is the first technological advancement. We've all share a comment.
Yeah, it's like the first wave, right?
Well, like we're all of that generation where we grew up with, VHS tapes, and then we got to DVDs, and then now we're streaming, right? Like it's night and day what we were doing as kids to what we do now, right? And but here's the difference in that technology. That was created by a human being and adopted and modified by humans using computers. This technology is the first technology that will modify and learn on its own. And that is the difference. That is the fundamental difference between the past technological revolutions that we've seen and this one. Now, that all being said, I do think we got to, tell people it's a tool. It's not refined, to Zola's point. There is no contractor in the world that's going to use an estimate out of AI solely without a check, and they shouldn't. It would be negligent. So like there's still time, but there's not a lot of time. And so to Zola's point, and this is why me and Janae's really been pushing this on our staff and then onto the trainees, is we got to adopt it now. We have to incorporate it now. We have to continue to look at it as, okay, we got to put it in the curriculum now, and we have to evolve as it evolves, which is going to be very, I think a different world in some ways, because again, the technology is the one that's reviving itself or revising itself, improving itself. And we're going to have to keep up as opposed to the other way around. So
that is a notable change, Manny. Thank you for bringing that out. That is a notable difference in the various types of technological advances, as you pointed out. Thank you so much for that. I've truly enjoyed this conversation with you guys, and I can't thank you guys enough for being available to be our panelists for the April CTA Construction Talks this month on a different schedule. I'm going to pause here and just see if there are any questions in the chat from the attendees. I'm seeing no questions at this time. Feel free to add anything over our next 4 or 5 minutes here if it comes up and we still have our speakers with us. I'm going to go over quickly some upcoming CTA workforce outreach events. This coming Wednesday, April 22nd, we have our Spring Citywide Career Fair. It's going to be in person from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Olive Harvey College, located at 101 South Woodlawn Avenue in Chicago. I'm very, very excited about this project. We have 76 exhibitors that will be speaking with attendees about over 5,200 job opportunities. And we already have over 800 job seekers pre-registered to attend. It's one of our largest workforce initiatives that we do twice a year, once in the spring and once in the fall. We're really happy to be partnering with the City of Chicago and other public and private and workforce and community agencies on this initiative. And then we also have our construction talks coming up again in the month of May. We will be on a different cadence in the month of May as well, due to Memorial Day. We'll be doing it on our third Monday of the month. And our topic will be labor compliance, why it's important. So all of you contractors out there and subcontractors, you definitely want to make sure you don't miss the May talk, because we're going to be talking about the labor compliance and all the things that you need to know and how the different aspects of that compliance impacts your workforce attainment and ultimately your success on the project. Really quickly, we have 2 minutes left. I see something in the chat. Will there be additional training related to AI integration in the future? Zola, I think that question may be to you, or maybe Revolution Workshop. You guys want to take that? Will there be additional training related to AI integration in the future?
I can just mention really quickly that I do see a lot of emails come out if you're subscribed to any newsletters. They do try to perform some AI trainings. It just depends on where you're looking and who you're going to for that information. So there are some out there if you're looking to do some like AI general knowledge trainings.
Thank you for that response, Janae. So Legio M, I hope you heard that response. Definitely get on the internet, maybe get on ChatGPT or some other AI generated software and ask for future trainings related to AI integration in the Chicagoland area, or tailor that question how you might in Google. They have AI features in their search results as well now. We also got a kudos from my colleague, Dallas Gordon. Great job, everyone. It will be interesting to see how we adapt to AI even as we adapt to working across multiple generations. And he says that's from a boomer. Nice comment there, Dallas. Thank you so much. Last thing here, guys, as we wrap up, how to stay connected with CTA. Check your emails for upcoming CTA outreach events and construction talks. For job openings with CTA construction contractors, please connect with our placement partners, Chicago Women in Trades and Hire 360. You can visit our website for CTA job openings, internships, and more at www.transitchicago.com/careers. You can also follow us on social media. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram. If you have questions about CTA construction talks, you can always email us at workforceinitiatives@transitchicago.com. You can also see all of our previous CTA construction talks, including this one, if you visit our CTA YouTube channel, Doors Opening, and click Construction Talks playlist. I want to thank you all very much again for choosing to be with us today. We hope to see you next month's Construction Talks, where we'll have more amazing guest speakers and we'll be discussing labor compliance. Until then, stay safe, stay mobile, and stay connected. Thank you. Bye.